My daughter-in-law came in screaming, "Get up! Tidy up this house! You do not do anything anymore." I stayed silent, and then I told her, "Dear, this house is not yours. It is the inheritance that one day you will not see." I decided it was time to remind her who built what she enjoys. Her face changed color when she saw the papers. "Get up! Tidy up this house! You do not do anything anymore." Emily's scream echoed off my kitchen walls like a whip. I was sitting in front of my cup of coffee, that old blue ceramic mug my late David gave me 40 years ago. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the contained rage I had been swallowing in silence for months. Emily stood before me, arms crossed, her face twisted in a look of contempt I knew all too well. She was wearing an expensive blouse that I had ironed for her that morning, and her perfectly painted red nails shone under the light, the same hands that had never washed a dish in my house. "Did you hear me, mother-in-law? Or are you so old you have gone deaf too?" I glanced toward the living room door. There he was, my son Michael, my only son. The boy I carried in my womb, whom I raised alone, while his father worked in other cities to feed us. He was leaning against the wall, his eyes glued to his cell phone, as if none of this was happening just a few feet away from him. He said nothing. He did not defend me. He did not even look up. I felt something inside me break. It was not the first time Emily had yelled at me, nor would it be the first time my son pretended not to hear. But that day, that damn day, something changed. I placed my cup on the table carefully, as if my life depended on not spilling a single drop. I took a deep breath. The smell of fresh coffee still hung in the air, mixed with the aroma of the tortillas I had warmed up for breakfast. A breakfast that, of course, neither of them touched. "Emily," I said calmly, though my heart was beating like a war drum, "this house is not yours." She let out a dry, mocking laugh. "Oh, it's not. Well, I live here, mother-in-law, and if you don't like it, you know where the door is." Michael still did not move. He still did not look at me. It was in that moment that I knew the time had come, the time to remind them who built every brick of these walls, who paid for every window, who planted every tree in the garden. I stood up slowly. My knees are not what they used to be, but that day they held me with a firmness I had not felt in years. I walked to my room without another word. Behind me, I heard Emily mutter something, probably another insult, but I did not care anymore. Because inside my closet, stored in a wooden box that no one else knew about, were the papers, the deeds, the documents that proved this house, every inch of it, was mine, only mine. And the time had come for them both to know it. As I closed my bedroom door, a single sentence flashed through my mind like lightning. I decided it was time to remind her who built what she enjoys. But what they did not know yet was that the paper I was about to show them was not the only secret I was keeping. There was something else, something that would change everything forever. How did we get here? That is the question I ask myself every night as I listen to their laughter on the other side of the wall. Laughter that sounds like mockery, like someone else's victory, like everything I lost without realizing it. 3 years ago, my world collapsed. David, my husband, my lifelong partner, died of a sudden heart attack while fixing the roof of this very house. He fell without warning, without saying goodbye. He left me alone with a void so vast that for months I did not know how to breathe. Michael came to the funeral. He cried. He hugged me. He said, "Mom, you are not alone. I am here, a lie." 2 weeks after burying his father, Michael showed up with Emily. They had just gotten married 6 months earlier. They were living in a small apartment downtown, paying a rent that ate up half their income. Mommy said with that soft voice he used as a child when he wanted something, "What if we stay with you for a while, just until we save up for a down payment on our own house? It would be a few months a year at most." Emily smiled, a sweet, almost shy smile. She came closer and took my hands. "Mommy, I will take great care of you. I know it must be very hard to be alone in this big house. We can keep each other company." Mommy. No one had called me that since my own mother died. That word pierced my chest like a hug I had been needing for years. So I said yes. Of course I said yes. The first few months were bearable. Emily would ask me for recipes. She would ask for my advice on cleaning tough stains. She would invite me to watch soap operas with her in the afternoons. Michael would come home from work, and the three of us would have dinner, like a family. But slowly, like water seeping through cracks, everything began to change. First, it was small things. Emily stopped asking me what I wanted for dinner. She just decided. Then she started moving my things around. "It just looks better here, mother-in-law," she would say with that smile that increasingly seemed more like a mask than a real expression. One day I came into the living room, and my rocking chair, the one where David used to read me the newspaper on Sundays, was gone. She had put it in the garage. "It took up too much space," Emily explained without looking me in the eye. "I put in a new couch, more modern." Michael said nothing. He was watching the football game. Then came the orders disguised as favors. "Mother-in-law, could you wash this blouse for me? It is delicate and you know how to do it better. Mom, could you not make breakfast earlier? Emily has to leave sooner. Why do you not take advantage of being home and clean the bathroom? We work all day after all." Each favor was another stone on my back, but I carried them. Because they were my family, because Michael was my son, because after David's death, I was so afraid of being alone that I preferred to become a shadow rather than a burden. I became invisible in my own home. I cooked, I washed, I ironed, I cleaned. Emily went out shopping with her friends. She would come back with bags of expensive clothes, shoes that cost more than $300 designer purses. Meanwhile, I wore the same blouses from 10 years ago because I did not want to bother asking for money for silly things. Michael worked 12 hours a day at a construction company. He would come home tired straight into his wife's arms. He barely greeted me with a quick kiss on the forehead, like someone greeting a familiar piece of furniture. The months turned into a year, then 2, then 3, and I kept waiting for them to save their money to leave for my house, to be my house again. But Emily was in no hurry. Why would she be? She was living for free in a 2-story house in a nice suburban neighborhood with a garden, 3 bedrooms, and a 2-car garage. A house that by my calculations was worth at least $500,000. A house she was already beginning to feel was hers. One night I could not sleep. I got up for a glass of water, and as I passed their room, I heard them. "Honey, my mom says we should start saving for our own house," Michael was saying. Emily laughed a dry, humorless laugh. "What for, Michael? Your mom is already very old. In a few years, this house will be yours anyway." Why spend money on another one? Silence. A silence that chilled my blood. I waited for my son to say something to correct her, to defend me, but all I heard was the sound of the mattress shifting and his tired voice. "You are right. It is more practical to stay here." I stood paralyzed in the hallway, the empty glass in my hand, and my heart breaking into pieces no one would ever see. I did not drink water that night. I went back to my room, sat on the bed where I slept for 40 years next to David, and cried in silence with the pillow covering my mouth so they would not hear me. Because that is how I had learned to cry in my own house. In silence. Invisible. But what I did not know yet was that the conversation I heard that night was just the beginning of something much worse. Emily did not just want to stay in my house. She wanted to take it, and she had a plan that I would soon discover. There are days that leave a mark, days that divide your life into a before and an after. For me, that day was a Tuesday in April. I had been in the kitchen since 6 in the morning. I had slept poorly as usual, but that morning I woke up with a fixed idea in my head. I would make Michael's favorite dish a traditional family recipe, my grandmother's recipe that my mother taught me that I perfected over 30 years. 4 generations of women in that pot. I bought the best chilies at the local farmer's market, the best ancho mulatto pasilla peppers chocolate from Oaxaca hand-roasted peanuts. I spent the whole morning grinding, frying, mixing. The house smelled like a celebration, like a Sunday, like those times when Michael was a boy and would eat 3 plates in a row, asking for more. As I stirred the sauce, I smiled. I thought, today he will remember. Today he will look at me like he used to. Today I will stop being invisible. How foolish I was. At 2 in the afternoon, I set the table. I took out the good tablecloth, the one with embroidered flowers. I served the rice, the refried beans, I warmed the freshly made tortillas. The sauce was perfect. It shone with that deep reddish-brown color you only get when you put your soul into the pot. I waited. At 3, I heard Emily's car arrive. She was coming from the salon. Her hair was freshly styled and she smelled of that expensive perfume she always wore. She walked in carrying bags from a rotisserie chicken place. My heart stopped. "Hello, mother-in-law," she said without looking at me. She went straight to the kitchen and put the bags on the counter. I brought food. I was craving roasted chicken today. I stood paralyzed by the stove. "Emily, I made your husband's favorite dish." She turned around. She looked at me as if she had just noticed my presence for the first time. "Oh, mother-in-law, nobody wants to eat that greasy food. We eat healthy now. I have told you before." She approached the pot. She lifted the lid. The steam from the sauce rose, filling the space between us. She wrinkled her nose. "God, what a heavy smell. This is so fattening." She took the pot, my pot, the one my mother used at her wedding. She walked towards the trash can. "No, Emily, wait." She did not hear me. Or she heard me and did not care. She emptied everything. The recipe of 4 generations. It all fell into the trash can with a wet, final sound that I still hear in my nightmares. "There now, we can eat something nice." She smiled, and that smile was the cruelest thing I had ever seen. My eyes filled with tears, but I said nothing. What could I say? She was my daughter-in-law, my son's wife. I did not want to cause trouble, so I just nodded. Like an idiot, I nodded. Half an hour later, Michael arrived. He walked in whistling in a good mood. He took off his work shirt and washed his hands in the sink. "Smells good," he said. "What's for dinner?" "Roasted chicken, honey," Emily replied, serving him a large plate with salad. "Your favorite." A lie. His favorite was the family sauce. It was always the family sauce. Michael sat at the table. Emily, too. I remained standing by the stove, still wearing my apron, still smelling of chilies and chocolate. "Are you not eating?" Mom Michael asked with his mouth full. "I am not hungry, son." "Oh, okay." And he kept eating. He did not even ask why. He did not notice my red eyes. He did not see the trash can full of my cooking. They ate laughing, talking about a show they were watching. I cleaned the kitchen in silence. I washed the empty pot. I dried my tears with the kitchen towel so they would not see me cry. When they finished, Emily left her plate on the counter. "Oh, mother-in-law, can you wash this for me? I have to get ready. My friends are coming over tonight." I did not ask. I just washed. That night, while they watched television in the living room, I sat alone in the kitchen. I heated up some leftover rice and ate it straight from the pot. I did not even serve myself on a plate. There was no point anymore. I looked around. I designed this kitchen. I chose every tile. I painted the walls yellow because David said that color made me happy. I raised my son here. I prepared thousands of meals here. I laughed, cried, dreamed here. And now I was a stranger in my own space. But the worst had not happened yet. That night around 11, when I had already gone to bed, I heard voices in the living room. Emily was with her friends. Laughter, low music glasses clinking. I could not sleep. Insomnia had become my faithful companion. So I got up for a glass of water. I walked slowly down the hall, trying not to make a sound. Then I heard her. No, seriously," Emily was saying between laughs. "The mother-in-law is useless now, just a burden. The other day I told her to get up early and she could not even do that." Her friends laughed. "And your husband does not say anything?" a voice asked. "Michael is a sweetheart, but he is a pushover with his mom. That is why I have to be the one to lay down the law. I already told him we should look for a nursing home for her. This house is too big to be wasted on an old lady who does not do anything anymore." A nursing home. They wanted to put me in a nursing home. I stood frozen in the dark hallway, the glass trembling in my hand. "But the house is in her name, right?" another friend asked. Emily lowered her voice. "But not enough. For now. But I am working on that. Michael already signed some papers. He thinks they are to help with his mom's expenses. But actually," she laughed, "we will see. These old ladies do not last forever." The laughter filled the living room. I felt the floor open up beneath my feet. The walls were spinning. I could not breathe. I went back to my room without a sound. I closed the door. I sat on the bed, and this time I did not cry. because tears were useless now. Something inside me had changed. Something hard, something cold. Emily thought I was invisible. She thought I was a foolish old woman waiting for death. But she was about to find out that women like me, the ones who build houses with our own hands, do not disappear so easily. And when a woman stops crying, that is when she becomes most dangerous. Michael does not know the truth. I never told him. Maybe that was my mistake. I let him grow up believing that this house, this life, everything we had just appeared. As if fate had gifted us a home without asking for anything in return. But the truth is different. The truth hurts. The truth is heavy. And that dawn, sitting on my bed, watching the first light of morning sneak through the window, I decided it was time to remember it. This house was not born from nothing. It was born from blood, sweat, and tears that no one saw. It was 1985. Michael was just 3 years old. We lived in a tiny rooftop room in a rough part of the city, a space so small that the bed touched the kitchen wall. David worked as a construction worker 14 hours a day. I sewed clothes for the neighbors, party dresses, pant alterations, hems, a few dollars for a job, maybe 10 if I was lucky. We saved every penny. We ate beans and tortillas, sometimes just tortillas with salt. Michael would ask why there was never any meat. I would tell him meat was bad for him, that beans made him stronger. He believed me. Children always believe. David dreamed of giving us a house. Someday hope he would tell me at night, his hands torn up from carrying so many bricks. Someday we will have our own roof and no one will ever take it from us. It took us 5 years to save for the down payment on the land, 5 years with no vacations, no new clothes, no celebrations. Every dollar that came in was split, half to survive, half for the dream. In 1990, we bought the lot, a piece of land in a developing southern suburb. It cost a fortune for us back then. We signed that paper trembling with excitement and fear. It was ours. Finally, something was ours. But an empty lot is not a home. David got a job in another state, a big construction project, a 6-month contract that paid double. He took it. He had to. Michael and I were left alone in the city. With the money David sent, we started to build. But we did not have enough to hire builders. So I did it myself. Yes, me with my own hands. I hired a foreman 2 days a week to teach me the basics. The rest of the time I worked alone. I mixed cement. I carried bricks. I raised walls. Michael played among the rubble while I worked. I would feed him bean sandwiches that I made at dawn. Then I would leave him with a neighbor and go back to the site. My site. My hands became calloused. My back ached so much some nights I could not sleep. I lost almost 30 pounds. My face got tan from the sun, wrinkled before its time. But the walls grew. One day I needed money urgently for the foundation. David had just sent his paycheck, but it was not enough. We were short $2,000. We had nothing else. Nothing except my earrings. The gold earrings David gave me on our wedding day. The only nice earrings I ever had. I wore them every day. They were my treasure. I took them off in front of the mirror. I kissed each one and sold them. $2,000. I never told David. I did not want him to carry that guilt. When he asked about the earrings, I told him I had lost them. He was sad, but he did not say anything else. Neither did I. The construction took 3 years. 3 years raising walls, putting in windows, mixing cement, painting. 3 years in which Michael grew up watching his mother turn into something between a woman and a machine. When David came back, the house was almost finished. He stood in front of it, his eyes full of tears. "You did this," he asked me. "We did," I told him. "You paid for it. I built it." We hugged, crying in the middle of the street. Michael, who was 8 by then, ran towards us, laughing. "We have a house, Dad. We have a house." We moved in on September 15, 1993. I remember the date because that night we had dinner on the floor, on a spread-out tablecloth, watching the fireworks through the window. We did not have furniture yet, but we had a roof, we had walls, we had a home. Michael slept in his own room that night for the first time in his life. I stayed awake, walking through every corner, touching the walls I had raised myself, the doors. I painted the garden where I planted the first tree with my dirt-filled hands. This house was not an inheritance. It was not luck. It was not a gift. It was 30 years of sacrifice, of sleepless nights, of meatless meals, of torn-up hands, of postponed dreams, of wedding earrings sold in silence. Every brick in these walls has my blood. Every window reflects the tears I dried in secret. Every corner holds a piece of my life. And Michael knew none of this. For him, this house was always here like the air, like the water, something that simply existed and would always exist. I never told him the details. I wanted him to have a happy childhood without the weight of our sacrifices. I wanted him to grow up light-free of guilt. But now I realize I made a mistake, because when you do not know the price of things, you do not know how to value them. And my son did not value this house. He did not know that every square foot cost a piece of my body. He did not know that the garden where Emily now hosted her parties was the same garden where I planted roses with broken nails. He knew nothing. And Emily. Emily believed that this house, now worth $500,000 according to local real estate agents, was just a comfortable place to live for free. She did not know that this house had an owner who had stopped being invisible, an owner who was about to remind everyone that houses are not built with papers. They are built with soul. And my soul was still here. Every brick remembered it. Every wall whispered my name. And very soon, they would hear it too. If there is something worse than being humiliated in your own home, it is being humiliated in front of strangers. And Emily was about to teach me exactly how low she could go. It was a Saturday. I was in the garden watering the plants when Emily came out with her cell phone in her hand, and that smile that already set my nerves on edge. Mother-in-law, next weekend I'm having a family gathering. My sister, my parents, my in-laws are coming. I want them to get to know the house well, as if it were their own. Of course, Emily, I replied, swallowing my rage. Do you need help with anything? Yes. Her tone changed, drier, more bossy. I need you to clean the whole house well, and on the day of the party you will be in charge of serving. I will be busy attending to my guests. Serving. Like a maid. But I nodded. I always nodded. Because I was afraid of causing problems, afraid that Michael would get angry, afraid of being left completely alone. Fear turns us into cowards. I spent the whole week cleaning, every corner, every window. I washed curtains, mopped floors, polished furniture. Emily supervised with her arms crossed, pointing out stains I could not see, imaginary dust in impossible places. Their mother-in-law, that corner is dirty. I would clean. The bathroom smells funny. Use more bleach. I would obey. These towels are old. Get out the good ones, the good towels that I hand-embroidered 15 years ago, the ones I saved for special occasions. Now her guests would dry their hands on them. Saturday arrived. Emily got up late. She got ready for 2 hours. She put on a new dress, high heels, perfect makeup. She looked like a magazine model. I was wearing my old floral blouse, a worn-out pair of pants, and my hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. "Mother-in-law, is everything ready?" she asked, spraying perfume on her neck. "Yes, Emily. I have prepared the appetizers. The food is almost ready. The drinks are in the fridge." Perfect. "Oh, and one more thing." She stopped in front of me. "When my parents arrive, do not sit at the table. You serve, and that is it. We do not want it to look crowded. Okay?" My heart stopped. What do not sit with us? It is a family gathering, mother-in-law intimate. You just help with the food, and that is it. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to tell her this was my table, my house, my family. But I did not, because Michael came down the stairs at that moment, freshly showered, smelling of expensive cologne. "Everything okay, honey?" he asked Emily. "Everything's perfect, my love. Your mom is helping us a lot with the party." "Helping?" Michael looked at me and smiled. "Thanks, Mom. You are the best." And he went to the living room to turn on the TV. He said nothing. He did not ask if I needed help. He did not notice my tired eyes, my bent back, my chapped hands from so much cleaning. At 4 p.m, the guests arrived. Emily's sister Lucy walked in as if it were a fashion show. Sky-high heels, a designer bag, sunglasses, even though we were indoors. "Sis, what a beautiful house," she squealed, hugging Emily. Emily's parents came in behind them, Arthur and Beatrice. He was dressed in a linen shirt, she with jewelry that sparkled even in the dark. "Wow, Emmy," Arthur said, looking around. "You hit the jackpot with this house." Emily laughed. "Yes, Daddy, it is nice, right? It is nice, the house I built. Nice." No one greeted me. They walked past me as if I were part of the furniture, as if I were the wall. I went into the kitchen. From there I could hear them laughing, talking loudly, opening bottles of wine that I had bought with my pension. I served the appetizers, cheeses, cured meats, olives, all on the good china that David gave me for our 20th anniversary. I took the trays to the dining room table. Everyone was already seated. 8 people around my table. "Thanks, mother-in-law," Emily said without looking at me. The others did not look at me either. I went back to the kitchen. I served the food pasta with shrimp salad, garlic bread, all prepared by me since 6 in the morning. I brought the plates one by one. My knees ached. My hands trembled from exhaustion. When I returned with the last plate, Arthur raised his glass. "A toast to my daughter and my son-in-law for this beautiful house where they will build their family." Everyone raised their glasses, their family, their house. Michael toasted with a huge smile. He kissed Emily in front of everyone. I was standing by the wall wearing my apron holding a pitcher of water. Invisible. They began to eat. They talked. They laughed. Lucy was telling a gossip story about a cousin. Beatrice was criticizing someone's dress at a wedding. Arthur was talking about politics. No one mentioned the food. No one said thank you. No one asked who prepared it. Then it happened. I went back to the kitchen for more ice. When I returned, Emily raised her voice. "Mother-in-law, could you bring more ice? It is the only thing we ask you to do, since you do not work or contribute anything to this house." The silence fell like a stone. Everyone turned to look at me. I felt my face turn red, my hands start to shake. Lucy laughed, an uncomfortable laugh. Beatrice murmured, "Oh, Emmy, do not be so harsh." But her tone was not scolding. It was complicit, as if saying, "You are right, but do not say it so loudly." Arthur took a sip of his wine and looked away. Michael kept eating. He said nothing. "Yes, of course," I whispered. "I will go get the ice." I walked to the kitchen with my legs trembling. I closed the door, and there, standing in front of the refrigerator, with the ice in my hands, something inside me broke. It was not a loud cry. It was silent. The tears just fell without sound, without drama. I looked at my hands, the hands that raised these walls, that cooked thousands of meals, that carried Michael when he was a baby, that held David when he was sick. These hands were now shaking, holding a bag of ice. I went to the bathroom. I washed my face with cold water. I looked in the mirror. A 68-year-old woman stared back at me, tired, humiliated, broken. I did not recognize that woman. Where was the Hope who built a house with her own hands? Where was the woman who sold her wedding earrings without crying? Where was that strength? I took a deep breath, and in that moment, something changed. No more. Not anymore. I left the bathroom. I brought the ice. I put it on the table without a word. Emily did not even look at me, but I looked at her, and for the first time in months, I did not look away. Because that night, while I cleaned the plates they dirtied, while I put away the china they used, while I mopped the floor where they spilled wine, I made a decision. I was not going to be invisible anymore. I was not going to be the shadow in my own house. The next day, I was going to seek help. And the game was going to change. Because women like me do not break so easily. We just take a little longer to remember who we are. Sunday morning felt different. Not because of the weather, not because of anything external, but because I had woken up different. I got up at 6 in the morning as always, but this time I did not go straight to the kitchen to make breakfast for Michael and Emily. This time I put on my least old blouse, I combed my hair carefully, and I left the house before they woke up. I left a note on the table, went out, back this afternoon, nothing more. I took the bus to another neighborhood, to Sarah's house. Sarah Medina, my friend for 42 years. We met when our sons were in the same elementary school. She was a teacher. Then she studied law. She worked as a notary for 25 years until she retired. A 70-year-old woman. A widow like me, but with a character that never bent to anything or anyone. Sarah was everything I had stopped being. Strong, direct, fearless. I knocked on her door at 8 in the morning. She opened it with a cup of coffee in her hand, her white hair tied in a high bun, her glasses hanging from a chain around her neck. "Hope," she said, surprised. "What are you doing here so early, Sarah?" My voice broke. I need help. She let me in. Her house smelled of fresh coffee and pastries. She sat me down in her living room, poured me a cup, and waited. And I told her everything. The humiliations, the shouting, the food in the trash, the family party, Emily's words about the nursing home, the conversation I overheard about the papers Michael signed. Everything. When I finished, Sarah was trembling with rage. That damn woman, she muttered, clutching her cup. That damn freeloader. I had never heard Sarah curse like that. Hope, look at me. She leaned towards me, her brown eyes fixed on mine. That house is in your name, right? Yes, only in my name. The deeds are in my room in a box. Is Michael listed as a beneficiary on any document only in my will? When I die, everything goes to him. Sarah leaned back on the couch, thinking. Her fingers drummed on the table. Then she nodded as if she had just made a decision. Hope, listen to me carefully. You have rights. That house is yours, completely yours. No one can kick you out without your consent. Not your son, not that viper he has for a wife. But Sarah, she said Michael signed some papers that are worthless if you did not sign them. Her voice was firm, confident. Look, I do not practice anymore, but I know the law and I know exactly what you need to do. She got up and went for a notebook and a pen. She sat next to me. First, you need to update your will, right now, today. If that woman thinks the house will be hers when you are gone, you need to show her she is very mistaken. My heart was racing. You mean, you have options. You can leave it all to Michael on the condition that Emily has no rights to it. Or you can divide it. Or you can donate it to a foundation. It is your decision, Hope, but you need to make it now. Second, she continued, you need to document everything. The abuse, the humiliations, the threats. Do you have a way to record conversations? I shook my head. Sarah went to her room. She came back with a small digital recorder the size of a pack of cigarettes. Here it is very easy to use. You just press this button and it records everything. Keep it in your apron in your pocket, and every time Emily speaks badly to you, every time she humiliates you, record it. I took the recorder with trembling hands. Is this legal? In your own home, recording conversations where you are present, yes, it is evidence. And you are going to need it. Third, her voice grew more serious. You need a copy of all the papers Michael signed. Look in his room, in his desk, wherever. If you find anything, bring it to me. I can review it and tell you exactly what they tried to do. Sarah, I cannot betray my son like that. Hope. Her shout made me jump. It is not a betrayal. He already betrayed you. He allowed that woman to humiliate you. He signed papers without telling you. He stayed silent while they treated you like trash. Tears rolled down my cheeks. He is my son, Sarah, my only son. I know. Her voice softened. She took my hands in hers. And that is exactly why you need to do this. Because if you do not do it now, when you are no longer here, Emily will take everything. And your son will realize too late that his mother was right. Is that what you want? She was right. God, how it hurt to admit she was right. Fourth, Sarah continued, letting go of my hands and writing in her notebook. You are going to make a legal inventory of your property. Every piece of furniture, every valuable object, every detail. I know a lawyer who can help you. His name is George Wallace. He is good, honest, and does not charge much. I will call him today. Sarah, I do not have much money. How much is your pension? A couple $1,000 a month, but almost all of it goes to house expenses. Emily says I have to contribute. Sarah closed her eyes and took a deep breath as if asking God for patience. Hope you do not have to contribute. They are living in your house for free. How much would it cost to rent a house like yours in that neighborhood? $3,000. $4,000. They are robbing you. Do you understand? They are robbing you of your money, your house, your dignity. Her words hit me like cold water. I woke up. You are right, I whispered. Of course I am right. She smiled for the first time all morning. And now you are going to get your life back. But you need to be smart. You cannot confront them yet. First you gather evidence. First you fix your papers. First you protect yourself. And when the time comes... She paused. She looked at me intently. When the time comes, you deliver the blow, and it has to be so strong that they cannot get up. We spent the whole morning planning. Sarah called the lawyer George. She explained my situation. He could see me on Wednesday. It would cost me a few hundred for the consultation and for each document. It was a lot of money for me, but Sarah insisted it was necessary. "If you need it, I will lend it to you," she said. "No, Sarah, you have already done so much. Then use your pension. Stop spending it on that house. Use it on yourself, on protecting yourself." She was right again. She gave me clear instructions. Record every conversation where Emily humiliated me. Find the papers Michael signed. Make a list of all my valuable objects. Do not say a word to anyone. Act normal. Continue being the same submissive, quiet Hope until the time came. "And when will that be?" I asked. Sarah smiled, a smile that was both scary and hopeful. "When we have everything ready. When they can do nothing to defend themselves. When the truth explodes in their faces." I returned home at 4 in the afternoon. Emily was watching TV in the living room. She did not even turn her head when I walked in. "Where were you?" she asked without interest. "With a friend." "Oh, well, there is laundry to do, and you did not make dinner. I'm going to order a pizza. Whatever you want, Emily." I went up to my room. I closed the door. I took out the recorder Sarah gave me and put it in my dresser drawer under my old shawls. I sat on the bed, and for the first time in months I smiled. It was not a smile of happiness. It was a smile of war, because now I had a plan. Now I had an ally. And very soon Emily was going to discover that old women know how to bite back too. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of pretending. 2 weeks of being the invisible, submissive, quiet Hope. But inside, everything had changed. The recorder became my secret weapon. I always carried it in my apron pocket. Every time Emily yelled at me, I pressed the button. Every time she insulted me, it was recorded. Every time she treated me like trash, the evidence grew. I already had 8 recordings, 8 proofs of her true face. On Wednesday, I went to see the lawyer George Wallace, a man in his 50s, serious in a gray suit and thick glasses. He received me in his small but tidy office. I told him everything. I showed him the deeds to the house, the recordings. He listened without interrupting, taking notes. When I finished, he took off his glasses and looked at me intently. "Mrs. Ramirez, legally, you are protected. The house is entirely yours. No one can take it from you. But we need to be proactive." What does that mean? It means we are going to secure your assets. We will update your will with specific conditions. We will make a notarized inventory of your property, and we will prepare, just in case, a lawsuit for dispossession and domestic violence. My heart sped up. A lawsuit just as a precaution. We will not file it unless necessary, but we will have it ready. Because, ma'am, if what you are telling me is true, your daughter-in-law is committing psychological abuse, and that is a crime. I left there with a folder full of documents and an appointment for the following week. I spent a good chunk of my pension for that month. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was investing in myself. I returned home around 6 in the evening. Emily was not there. Her car was not in the driveway. Good. I entered the house. Silence. Michael had not come home from work yet. And then I remembered. Sarah had told me. "Find those papers Michael signed." My heart pounded. It was now or never. I went up the stairs slowly. Michael and Emily's room was at the end of the hall. They always kept it locked when they were not there. But that day, the door was ajar. I stood paralyzed in front of it. Was I really going to do this? Rummage through my own son's room like a thief? But it was not stealing. It was protecting myself. I pushed the door open. The room smelled of Emily's expensive perfume. The bed was unmade. Clothes were thrown on the couch. Everything was a mess, even though she always forced me to keep the house impeccable. I searched quickly. The closet, the nightstand drawers, nothing. Then I saw the laptop. It was open on the desk, on. The screen showed a WhatsApp chat. I did not want to look. I really did not. I am not the kind of person who snoops. But there on the screen, I saw my name. Hope. My finger moved on its own. I touched the mouse. The conversation expanded. It was a chat between Emily and her sister Lucy. I started reading, and my world fell apart. Emily, 3 days ago. Lucy. I am so sick of the old woman. She does nothing and still complains. Lucy, ha ha ha, just put up with her a little longer. She does not have much time left. Emily, I hope so. But in the meantime, I need to secure things. Lucy, have you talked to Michael about the power of attorney, Emily? Yes. The idiot already signed it. I told him it was to manage his mom's medical expenses so we could help her better. Lucy, ha ha ha, no way. He bought it, Emily, of course. Michael is really sweet, but he is a real sucker. He did not read anything. He signed without asking. Lucy, and does that power of attorney help you get the house, Emily? Not completely, but it is the first step. If the old woman gets sick or is declared incompetent, I can make decisions about her assets. My lawyer already explained it to me. I just need to be patient. Lucy. So you are waiting for her to die. Emily, or get sick. At her age, anything can happen. A fall, a stroke, whatever. And when it happens, this house will be mine. Well, Michaels. But it is the same thing. Lucy, you are a badass sis. Emily, thanks. Someone has to be smart in this family. The old woman has been living in a house worth over $500,000 for years. Do you think she deserves it? She never even worked. Lucy and Michael does not suspect anything. Emily, not at all. He thinks his mom is happy living with us. He does not realize I am setting him up. Little by little I plant ideas, that his mom is old, that she needs care, that it would be better to put her in a home. When the time comes, he will be the first one to suggest the nursing home. Lucy, you are an evil genius. Emily, I learned from the best. Anyway, as soon as the old hag kicks the bucket, this house is ours. I even have the remodeling plans ready. I'm going to tear out that hideous kitchen and put in a modern one. My hands were shaking so much I could barely hold the mouse. I kept reading. Emily, 2 days ago. I put her in her place in front of my family today. You should have seen her face. Lucy, what did you say to her, Emily? That she did not work, that she did not contribute anything in front of everyone. She started crying afterward, I think, but I am so done with her. She can just deal with it. Lucy, one day, she is just going to give up and be gone. Emily, I wish, but those old ladies are stubborn. That is why I need Plan B. Lucy, what is Plan B? Emily, I told you, patiently waiting. She is 68, has high blood pressure, is overweight. Anything could happen to her any day. And I will be there with the power of attorney signed by Michael, ready to make decisions. I could not read anymore. My legs gave out from under me. I sat down at the desk, my vision blurred by tears. My daughter-in-law was waiting for me to die. Worse, she was planning for my death. And my son had given her the tools to do it. I took out my cell phone with trembling hands. Sarah had taught me how to take screenshots. I took pictures of the entire conversation, one by one, every message, every poisonous word. When I finished, I put my phone away. I turned off the laptop exactly as it was. I got up, left the room, closed the door, went down the stairs like a zombie. I got to my room, sat on the bed, and I did not cry. I could not cry, because the pain was too big for tears. My daughter-in-law wanted me to die so she could have my house, and my son had signed papers that would give her power over my life. Michael did not know. I wanted to believe he did not know, that Emily had deceived him, that my son was not capable of betraying me like that. But even if he did not know, he chose to believe her instead of asking me. He chose his comfort over my dignity. He chose silence over defending me. And that hurt more than any conscious betrayal. I did not leave my room that night. I heard when Emily arrived. I heard when Michael came home from work. I heard their laughter, their conversations, the sound of the television, normal life, as if nothing had happened. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling something inside me die. But at the same time, something was born, something cold, something hard, something relentless. The next morning I called Sarah. I found it. I told her in a flat voice, I found everything. Come now, bring everything. And I went. Because now it was not just about getting my house back, it was about saving my life. Sarah read the messages 3 times. We were sitting in her kitchen. I was drinking chamomile tea with trembling hands. She held my phone, scrolling through the screenshots again and again. Her face grew paler and paler. "Hope," she said, finally putting the phone on the table. "This is extremely serious. This is not just abuse. This is conspiracy, fraud, attempted dispossession. What do I do? Sarah, what do I do? First, breathe." She took my hands. "Second, send these screenshots to the lawyer George right now. And third," she paused. "Third what?" "Third, you need to confront your son. Not Emily, Michael. He signed those papers. You need to know exactly what he signed and if he understands what he did." My stomach churned. "Sarah, I cannot. If I tell him anything, Emily will know, and if she finds out I found those messages—" "You are right." Sarah thought for a moment. "Then do it another way. Ask him casually. Tell him you are organizing your papers, that you need to know if he signed anything related to you, that it is for the lawyer." It made sense, but it terrified me. That afternoon, I returned home with a plan. Michael got home from work at 7. Emily had gone out with her friends as usual. It was my chance. I found him in the living room, taking off his shoes. "Son," I said softly, "can we talk for a moment?" He looked up surprised. I had not started a conversation with him in weeks. "Of course, Mom, what is up?" I sat on the couch across from him. I took a deep breath. "I am organizing my documents, house papers, wills, that kind of thing. And I need to ask you something. Okay, have you signed any documents related to me lately? Any power of attorney? Any legal paper?" Michael blinked. His face turned slightly red. Yes. "Well, Emily asked me to sign some papers. She said they were to help with your medical expenses, so if you needed something urgent, we could handle it faster." My heart stopped. "What kind of paper was it, Michael?" "Well, I do not know exactly. Emily said her cousin the lawyer had prepared them. Something about a power of attorney. For health issues, I think. Did you read what you signed?" Silence. "Michael, did you read the papers?" He looked down. "Not completely. I trust Emily, Mom. She just wants to help you." I felt something break inside my chest. "Son," my voice trembled. "That power of attorney you signed, do you know what it means? It means if something happens to you, we can make quick decisions to help you. No, Michael. It means you gave your wife power over my assets, over my house, over my life." His face changed. Confusion, then denial. "No, Mom. It is not like that. Emily explained to me that—" "Emily explained to you? Or did you read the document? Mom, what are you implying?" I stood up, took out my phone. With trembling hands, I opened the screenshots. "I am implying that your wife deceived you, and here is the proof." I showed him the phone. Michael started to read. His face went from confusion to shock, from shock to disbelief. "No, this cannot be real. It is real. They are messages from her to her sister. Read it all, Michael. Read what your wife thinks of me. Read what she plans to do." He kept reading. His hands started to tremble. His breathing quickened. When he got to the message where Emily said, "As soon as the old hag kicks the bucket, this house is ours," his face turned white as a sheet. "Mom, I did not know. You did not know, or you did not want to see. I did not know," he shouted, getting up from the couch. "I would never ever sign something to hurt you. But you did sign it. Without reading, without asking. Because you trust her more than your own mother. That is not true." "Is it not?" My voice broke. "Michael, how many times have you defended me in these 3 years? How many times have you raised your voice when she humiliates me? How many times have you asked how I am?" Silence. "Your wife treats me like trash. She yells at me, orders me around, humiliates me in front of her family. And you stay quiet looking at your phone as if I do not exist." "Mom, I thought you two just had your differences." "Differences," I let out a bitter laugh. "Son, she told me they wanted to put me in a nursing home. She threw the special meal I made for you in the trash. She forced me to serve them like a maid, and you never said a word." Tears started rolling down his cheeks. I did not realize it was that serious. You did not realize because you did not want to see. Because it was more comfortable not to see." At that moment, the front door opened. Emily had arrived. "Honey, I am home," she called from the entrance. Michael and I stood frozen, looking at each other. Emily walked into the living room, saw us both, and her smile vanished. "What is going on here?" Michael turned to her, his face a mixture of pain and rage. "What is going on? What is going on?" His voice trembled. "You want to explain this to me?" He showed her my phone with the messages. Emily's face went from pink to white in seconds. "Michael, You what, Emily? You what?" His voice rose. "You tricked me into signing a power of attorney. You are waiting for my mom to die to take her house. It is not what it looks like." "Then what is it? Explain it to me." Emily looked at me with pure, unmasked hatred. She pointed her finger at me. "You went into my room, you spied on my computer. You are a... Do not talk to my mother like that." Michael's shout made the walls tremble. I had never heard him yell like that. Emily took a step back, surprised. "Honey, calm down." "I am not going to calm down. You lied to me. You used me. You plotted against my own mother. Michael, your mother is a manipulator. She is filling your head with lies. Lies." He showed her the phone again. "Are these your messages or not?" Emily pressed her lips together. Her strategy changed. Tears appeared instantly. "Yes, they are mine," but it was in a moment of anger. I was frustrated. "Your mom does not help with anything, Michael. I do everything in this house and she... This is not your house," I finally said it. The voice came from the depths of my being. "This is my house. I built it. I paid for every brick." "And you came to live here for free for 3 years." Emily looked at me with contempt. "Oh, so now you remember? Now you remember. It is your house. Well, you know what, old woman? Your son is my husband. When you die, everything will be ours anyway. Enough." Michael slammed his hand on the table, making the decorations jump. "Emily, stop it." "Stop what?" "Telling the truth. Your mom is old Michael. She does not have many years left. And when she is gone..." "Emily..." Michael's voice became dangerously low. "Get out of this house." Silence. "What?" "Get out. Now. Leave." Emily let out a hysterical laugh. "Are you kicking me out? Me, your wife." "For your mom, I am not kicking you out for my mom. I am kicking you out for being a liar, a manipulator, a what?" "Michael, say it. Say whatever you want. But remember that I am your wife. And when you regret this, because you will regret it, it will be too late." She grabbed her purse, her keys. But before she left, she stared at me. "This is not over, old woman. This is not over." And she slammed the door, making the whole house shake. Michael collapsed onto the couch, his head in his hands. I stood there trembling. And then my son cried. He cried like a child, like the child he once was. I sat next to him. I hugged him. "Forgive me, Mom," he sobbed. "Forgive me. I was an idiot, a blind man, a bad son." "Shh. It is okay." "No, Mom. I have to say it. I failed you. I let them treat you badly. I let them humiliate you. And the worst part is, I did not even realize it. I just wanted things to work out. I wanted to have a happy family. And I ended up losing the only real family I have." I held him tighter. That was the moment I had been waiting for 3 years. That hug, those words. But nothing would ever be the same again. Because the cracks that open in the heart never fully heal. They just scar. And scars hurt when the weather changes. Emily did not come back that night, nor the next. Michael stayed at home like a ghost. He took days off from work. He barely ate. He barely spoke. He just spent his time in his room, phone off, staring at the ceiling. I did not sleep well either. But for the first time in years, it was not out of fear. It was because of what was coming. Because Emily had said something before she left. This is not over. And I knew she was right. Sarah came to visit me on the 3rd day. She brought the lawyer George with her. The 3 of us sat in the living room. Michael came down when he heard strange voices. "Mom, this is my lawyer son and my friend Sarah. We need to talk about something important. All of us together." Michael sat down, nervous. George opened his briefcase. He took out several documents. "Mrs. Ramirez." As I explained, I have prepared everything you asked for, the new will, the notarized inventory, and he took out another document. I got a copy of the power of attorney your son signed. Michael tensed up. How? I have contacts at the public registry, George explained. And let me tell you something, young man. What you signed is very serious. He showed him the document. Michael took it with trembling hands. This power of attorney, George continued, gives your wife the authority to make decisions about your mother's assets in case of incapacity. She could have her committed, sell her property, take control of her bank accounts, all under the pretext of caring for her. Michael turned pale. But I just wanted to help. I know, son, I said softly, but good intentions do not erase mistakes. Emily deceived you, and now we need to fix it. The good news, George interrupted, is that this power of attorney can be revoked. Your mother never signed it, never authorized it, and there is evidence of fraud. We can easily nullify it. Do it, Michael said immediately. Nullify it, whatever is necessary. George nodded. He took out other papers. I also prepared a new will for your mother. Very specific, very clear. He looked at me. It was my turn. Michael, I took a deep breath. I need you to understand something. This house is mine. I built it with my hands. I paid for it with my life. And when I am gone, it will be yours. His eyes filled with tears. Mom, you do not have to. Let me finish. It will be yours. But with conditions. Emily will have no rights to it. Not now, not when I die. Not even if you two stay married. This house will never be hers. Do you understand? Michael nodded, crying. I understand. And I swear, Mom, I am going to divorce her. I cannot. I cannot be with someone who hurt you so much. That is your decision, son, not mine. I am just protecting what is mine. Sarah leaned forward. Hope, are you sure about what we agreed on? I nodded. Completely sure. George began to explain. The will divides the inheritance like this. 50% for Michael, with the clause that Emily cannot claim anything. And 50% for a foundation that supports abandoned elderly people. Michael looked up, surprised. A foundation? Yes, son. I learned about that organization years ago. They help older people whose families have abandoned them, who no one cares for, who no one respects. I almost became one of them. And when I am no longer here, I want my house to help others who went through the same thing. Mom, his voice broke. Do not cry. It is my decision. You will have half, more than enough, and you will learn to value it, because now you know what it costs. George continued reviewing documents with me. Inventory of furniture, jewelry, bank accounts. Everything was recorded. Everything was protected. I signed each paper with a steady hand. Sarah squeezed my shoulder. I am proud of you. When we finished, it was already 6 p.m. There is one more thing George said about the domestic violence lawsuit we prepared. Lawsuit, Michael asked, alarmed. Yes. Your mother has the right to file it for the psychological abuse she suffered. We have evidence, the recordings, the messages, witnesses. No, I said firmly. I am not going to file that lawsuit, unless it becomes necessary. Are you sure? Sarah asked. I am sure. I do not want to take this to court. I just want peace. I just want my house back. George put the documents away. Then there is only one thing left. The final confrontation. My stomach churned. Confrontation. Emily needs to know she lost. She needs to know her whole plan failed, and she needs to sign a waiver of rights to this property. And if she does not want to sign? Michael asked. Then we file the lawsuit. And believe me, with the evidence we have, she will lose much more than a house. Sarah stood up. Hope, I suggest we do this smartly. Let's summon Emily here, but with witnesses present, with the lawyer present. Make it official so she cannot manipulate anything. And her parents should be here too, I added. They participated in my humiliation. They need to know too. Michael looked at me surprised. You want Emily's parents to come? Yes. I want everyone to see who I really am. I want everyone to know the truth. Sarah smiled, a smile of pride. That is it, my friend. That is it. We agreed that the meeting would be the following Saturday, in my house in my living room on my territory. Michael called Emily that night. She had been staying at her parents' house. We need to talk, he told her. Bring your parents. Saturday at 4 at the house. What for? Emily's voice sounded defensive, even over the speakerphone. To close this once and for all. You, me, my mom, your parents. The way it should be. There was silence on the other end. Okay, we will be there. She hung up. Michael looked at me. Mom, are you sure about this? More sure than ever, son. The following days passed slowly. I mentally prepared what I was going to say. I rehearsed in my room in front of the mirror. I practiced keeping my voice steady, my gaze direct. Sarah came every day. She encouraged me. She reminded me of my strength. You built this house with your hands, Hope. Now you will defend it with your voice. Michael changed too. He started cleaning, cooking, helping, as if he were trying to repair 3 years of absence in 3 days. You do not have to do that, son. Yes, I do, Mom. I should have done it from the beginning. Saturday arrived. I woke up early. I showered. I put on my best blouse, the blue one David had given me so many years ago. I combed my hair carefully. I looked in the mirror. The woman staring back at me was no longer invisible. At 3 in the afternoon, Sarah arrived with the lawyer George. We arranged the papers on the living room table. Everything ready, everything prepared. At 4 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. Michael opened the door. There they were, Emily with her arms crossed and a sour look on her face. Arthur and Beatrice confused, not understanding why they had been summoned. They walked into the living room, and when they saw the lawyer Sarah and all the documents on the table, they knew something big was about to happen. I stood up. I looked at them one by one, and with a firm, clear voice, without trembling, I said, "Thank you for coming. It is time for you to know the truth. The whole truth." Emily clenched her jaw. Arthur looked uncomfortable. Beatrice looked at the papers nervously. "And I was ready to take my life back. Please sit down." My voice sounded so firm that even I was surprised. Emily did not move. She remained standing, arms crossed, looking at me with contempt. "What is all this mother-in-law? A little drama." "Sit down, Emily." Michael's voice was hard, cold. He was no longer the weak man she manipulated. Something in his tone made Emily obey. She sat on the couch next to her parents. Arthur and Beatrice exchanged confused glances. George cleared his throat. "Good afternoon. I am George Wallace, Mrs. Hope Ramirez's attorney. We have called you here today to resolve a very delicate legal situation." Legal Arthur tensed up. "What are you talking about?" Sarah leaned forward. "You are here because your daughter committed fraud, manipulation, and psychological abuse against my friend, and it is time for you to know it." Beatrice put a hand to her chest. "How dare you accuse my daughter without proof?" "Oh, we have proof." George placed a folder on the table. "Plenty of proof." I stood up. It was my turn. Arthur, Beatrice. 3 years ago, when my husband died, I opened the doors of my home to your daughter and my son. I told them they could stay temporarily while they saved money for their own house. "And you were very generous," Arthur said, still not understanding where this was going. "Generous?" I let out a bitter laugh. "Do you know how much it would cost to rent a house like this, in this neighborhood? $3,000 a month minimum. Your daughter lived here for free for 3 years. That is over $100,000 I saved them." Arthur blinked. "But you are family." "Exactly. We are family. That is why I expected respect. I expected gratitude. Instead, I received humiliation." Beatrice shook her head. "Hope if there were any misunderstandings. They were not misunderstandings." I took out the recorder. I put it on the table. "They were abuses, and they are recorded." I pressed play. Emily's voice filled the living room. "Get up, tidy up this house. You do not do anything anymore. It is the only thing we ask of you since you do not work or contribute anything." Beatrice turned pale. I pressed another recording. "Nobody wants to eat that greasy junk mother-in-law. We eat healthy now." And another. "Mother-in-law, could you bring more ice? It is the only thing we ask you to do since you do not work or contribute anything." That last one they had heard themselves in person at the family party where she humiliated me in front of everyone. Arthur looked down. "But that is just," Emily began. "Just what I interrupted her. Just your way of being, just jokes. No, Emily, it is abuse. And there is more. I took out my phone. I opened the screenshots. These are messages between your daughter and her sister Lucy. Read them. Read them all. I handed the phone to Arthur. He began to read. His face grew darker and darker. Beatrice read over his shoulder. She put both hands to her mouth. As soon as the old hag kicks the bucket. This house is ours. Michael is really sweet, but he is a real sucker. He did not read anything. He signed without asking. I am waiting for her to die or get sick. At her age, anything can happen. Arthur dropped the phone. Emily. His voice trembled. What is this, Dad? I was angry. They were just words. Just words. Arthur stood up, trembling with rage. You said you were waiting for this woman to die. You planned to steal her house. It is not stealing. Michael is her son. The house was going to be ours anyway. The house is mine. My voice cut through the air like a knife. Only mine. And it will remain mine until the day I decide otherwise. George took the floor. But there is more. Emily had young Michael sign a fraudulent power of attorney. She told him it was to help with his mother's medical expenses. In reality, it was to take control of her assets. That is illegal, Sarah said. It is fraud. It is a criminal offense. Beatrice began to cry. Emily, for God's sake, what did you do? I did not do anything wrong. This old woman drives me crazy. She has been living in a house she does not deserve for years. She never worked. She never did anything. The silence that followed was deafening. I stood up slowly. I walked towards her. I looked her straight in the eye. I never did anything. My voice was low, dangerous. I built this house with these hands. I showed her my hands, the wrinkled hands with scars, with calluses that never went away. I mixed the cement. I carried the bricks. I raised the walls while raising my son alone because my husband was working in another city to feed us. Emily tried to speak, but I stopped her. I sold my wedding earrings to pay for the foundation. I ate beans and salt for years to save every penny. I worked as a seamstress by day and a construction worker by night. My hands bled, my back broke, my knees never fully healed, all to give my family a home. Tears rolled down my cheeks, but my voice did not tremble. And you arrived 3 years ago. You lived in my house for free. You used my water, my electricity, my food. You paraded around in your high heels on the floor I installed, and you had the audacity to say that I did not deserve to be here. Arthur had his head in his hands. Beatrice was sobbing. Emily was pale as a ghost. So this is what is going to happen, I continued. George, please. The lawyer took out a document. Miss Emily, this is a waiver of rights. You sign here and acknowledge that you have never had and will never have any rights to this property. I am not signing that. Then George took out another document. We file this criminal complaint for fraud, attempted dispossession, and domestic violence. With all the evidence we have, you will go to trial and you will lose. Also, Sarah added these messages, and recordings can be made public. Do you want your family, your friends, your job to know what kind of person you are? Emily looked at me with pure hatred. You are a vengeful old woman. No, Emily. I am a woman who got tired of being invisible. Arthur stood up. Emily, sign that paper. Now. Now. His shout echoed through the house. You have shamed us. You have lied to us. You have done unforgivable things. Sign it and end this. Beatrice also stood up. Your father is right. Please, daughter, sign. Emily took the pen with trembling hands. She hated every stroke. She signed with rage, but she signed. George collected the document. Perfect. Now you have 30 days to vacate the property. Emily cannot return to this house except to collect her belongings, always with supervision. Wait! Michael spoke for the first time in minutes. Mom, I am leaving too. I turned surprised. What I am going to find an apartment. A small one. For me alone. I need to learn to live alone, to value things, to be the man I should have been from the beginning. My voice broke. Son, you do not have to leave. Yes, I do, Mom, for you and for me. But this time I am not going to abandon you. I will visit you every day. I will help you with everything you need. And I will spend the rest of my life making up for these 3 years. He came over and hugged me tightly. Forgive me, Mom. Really forgive me. I hugged him, crying. Arthur approached me. Mrs. Ramirez, I have no words. What my daughter did is unforgivable. If you need anything, anything at all, please, I just need you to take her away, and for her not to come back. We will. Emily stood up. She walked to the door without looking back, but before leaving, she turned one last time. I hope you enjoy your empty house, old woman, alone as you deserve. Sarah jumped up like a spring, not alone, surrounded by people who value her, something you will never understand. Emily slammed the door on her way out. Her parents said goodbye with shame in their eyes. When they left, I collapsed onto the couch. It was all over. 3 months later. Rodrigo found an apartment downtown, small but nice. We saw each other 3 times a week. He cooked for me. I taught him the recipes I had never taught him. We talked. We really talked. He told me he had started the divorce process. Emily did not fight it. She already had another boyfriend. Someone with more money, according to what Michael told me with bitterness. Let her go, son. She was not worth it. Sarah and I turned a part of my house into a sewing workshop. We invited older women from the neighborhood, women like me who had been invisible, who had lost their voice. Now we sewed together. We laughed together. We took care of each other. The house was filled with life again. But this time, a life that I chose. The will remained the same. 50% for Michael. 50% for the foundation. But now Michael understood why. One afternoon while we were having coffee in the kitchen, he looked at me. Mom, you know I thought losing you would be the worst thing that could happen to me. But almost losing you because of my own fault. That was worse. I took his hand. You did not lose me, son. You found me. We both found each other. He smiled, a sad but real smile. That night when he left, I sat in the living room. In my living room. In my house. The house I built with my hands. The house I defended with my voice. The house where I finally became visible again. I looked at the walls. I touched the furniture. I took a deep breath. And for the first time in years, I felt at peace. Because the greatest inheritance I left my son was not walls or bricks. It was a lesson he will never forget. That houses are built with effort, that respect is earned with actions, and that a 68-year-old woman, when she decides to stop being invisible, can move mountains. I built this house with love and sacrifice, and that is how I am going to enjoy it, on my terms, surrounded by those who value me. Because in the end, the most important thing is not what you leave behind when you go. It is how you lived while you were here. And I lived. I finally lived. Sometimes we think that family love is unconditional, that blood forgives everything, that we must endure in silence to keep the peace. But there is something more important than peace, dignity, and when we lose our dignity, we lose everything. If you are going through something similar, if someone makes you feel invisible in your own life, remember this: it is never too late to reclaim your voice. It is never too late to defend yourself. It is never too late to remind the world who you are. This story is for all the women who built empires in silence, for all those who gave everything and received nothing, for all those who were once invisible. You are stronger than you think, and you deserve to be seen. If this story touched your heart, leave me a comment telling me. Where are you watching from? What impacted you the most about Hope's story? Give it a like if you think she made the right decision. And subscribe to continue hearing real stories that inspire, move, and remind us that it is never too late to reclaim our dignity. See you in the next story. Take care and remember your voice matters. Always. End.